Going on, everyone? Slovosh here, bringing you some more Test Center with Ultron. He now has some of his new augmentations, and he has lost his specializations altogether. I wanted to showcase his ability to run a physical build now, and this physical build is going to go through the Cosmic Trial, I'm hoping, with relative ease. So let's get on it. This build is focused around a few augments, but then still trying to maximize bandwidth in your summons. I'm using the taunt summons just because they're beefcakes, and they should help considerably with his ability to stay alive, which it seems like they are. And then I am also trying to gear for ranged and melee type moves, because one of my other favorite things that they've just done with this augmentation is this skill right here, Augment Crush, where it hurls 2 additional chunks of earth. That's like pretty much your entire screen of piercing rock damage, and after you throw it you gain 20% extra damage towards physical moves. So that includes your signature, by the way, which is a very quick cooldown. Of course I can't get my signature rock right now, but I mean, I'm sure damage numbers and tuning so far are pretty close, I would say, to where they're gonna end up. But I basically just geared him 100% for like physical melee type gearing, but the summons, they don't really require much like summoning gear to just do their job, which is just tank. That's all I really want them there for. Is they are extra DPS, I suppose. I do have 20 points in them just because I wanted a little more beef on them. What I mean by that is I wanted my summons to have a fair amount of life. So after I beat this trial, I'll go over the build real quick. I wanted to really maximize everything that he's got so far going for him, which is a lot of his kit is based around this Ultron Prime, and it still applies to all of your drones. So God, if you don't have drones out, you're really missing out on his steroid buff, just really pumping up your DPS tons and tons. You can see how well I'm staying survive ability wise now that all the drones stay out permanently. It's pretty nice for just having 5 or 6 extra bodies around just to soak up some of that DPS that the enemies are putting on. And all these dudes do is taunt and punch, so we are still technically meleeing, and with this augmentation on Crush, we're gaining tons of physical damage boost. And in the rotation, I'm using a lot of moves that are both ranged and physical, as I said before, so I'm trying to buff it up as much as I can. I think you have 8 seconds at 20% more damage with this move. So what I like to do is use the Augment Crush, and then try to do the Ultron Prime, and then pop your signature, so you're getting like absolute maximum amount of damage going on. And then they kind of, in a roundabout way, made it so you can see your summons now. Obviously your bandwidth is only used for your augmentations and your summons, and your summon bar stays for the most part pretty much whited out until you're able to summon another guy. Ooh, saw that rock shit flying right across the screen. So I just usually go in for the punching, and then I'll hurl some rocks whenever they become available. I'm gonna save this signature. You know what, fuck it, I'm not. Didn't matter anyways, I couldn't get it. Let's see what his ultimate looks like. That is less than ideal, but worked okay. I'm stuck in spot, it looks like. What the fuck was that thing? Let's see what that ultimate says now. Smaller debris hits, large debris hits, exploding drones, drone aerial assault effects, summon duration 8 seconds. Basically just does a shitload of damage in one zone. So that was the Cosmic Trial with Ultron. I'm not really sure what difficulty all this has been at. I know they've turned off the dynamic... Shit, whoa. Look at that fucking thing there. They turned off the dynamic combat whatever where it's supposed to scale to your level, so I'm not really sure how difficult the trial is at the moment. Maybe it's scaled up, maybe it's scaled down. I can only hope and pray that it's scaled up. So going over, you know, I'm not gonna touch on the gear too much. I'll hover over it right now, what I was using in that. Basically your standard physical stuff. I haven't found any of his uniques, but these are amazing replacements anyways, except for slot 5. I'm not too happy with that, but basically just put on physical, ranged, and melee. I'm a little disappointed that his only insignia he can wear is shield, so that really means like maybe Mockingbirds would be best with some good affixes on them, but yeah, that's the gear. Let's go over the skills that I was using and the augmentations and my thoughts behind it. So I wanted to make a melee build, and as I went strictly melee, I found out that I didn't want to put anything in the Scourging Wrath tree at all. I didn't want to do a hybrid damage character. I'm okay with melee physical because there's a lot of gear that you can do where it's or melee ranged, I'm sorry. There's a lot of gear for melee range where it procs 2 things, like, you know, these rings here, ranged melee, Craven's Vest, ranged melee. There's, I mean, the list goes on and on for things that benefit from those 2, like Crossbones Teaching Credentials, ranged melee, just tons of stuff that, you know, get extra perks from those 2 things being active at once. So after I tried out the Crush move, Operation Crush, with the augment of hurls 2 additional rocks, this thing, the 3, that's like, I don't even know, what is that? A fifth of your screen is basically just a moving freight train of damage. That's basically like the For the Colony of Ant-Man, except way faster cast, way faster movement speed, and, you know, only a 6-second cooldown. But with the augment, you gain, you know, physical damage buff of 20% for 8 seconds, and that's on a 6-second cooldown, so you can keep this up indefinitely. So I mean, as long as you're casting this on cooldown, I mean, you do have a little bit of fluff of 2 seconds to keep it going, but this is going to make every other move in your kit 20% more damage. I mean, that to me is huge. This first augment, I was trying it, and it was occasionally casting this Concussion Blaster, but I wasn't sure if it benefited from Concussion Blaster being scaled up or not in points. But it's slow, and the only reason I would really recommend even putting 1 point into it is if you wanted that extra 10% vulnerability. That's the only reason this would be in a melee kit, in my opinion. Unless you wanted to stay purely ranged physical damage, then you could use this in your kit. But I wanted to get in there and punch some guys, and right now Force Blast is just draining the mana pool or the power pool way too quickly, and you end up running out of spirit, and you can't recast your cooldown moves. So I was forced to use Melee Strike. So Melee Strike is what I was using, but with the augmentation of Crush, the 20% damage probably actually scales it up to the course of what Force Blast is, damage-wise anyways, but except it's free. So that was another reason why I was pretty happy about it. So you can just keep punching whoever the fuck you want, click lock them, cast this every 6 seconds, keep your damage going for this, nice and buffed. Another thing I thought was pretty neat, and I'm not sure if they'll fix this or not. Maybe they won't. I'm hoping they won't, because right now it works really well in the physical favor. So this increases all physical damage by 20% for 8 seconds. So we are Ultron. This signature, even though it's nothing but a bunch of little heads shooting laser beams, it still is physical damage. If they don't fix that to energy, then we're going to benefit huge from hurling our rocks, which this move, again, is just amazing. Pierces, half your screen gone, keeps going, very quick cast time, fucking awesome move. So you can throw that out, then you can still... Operation Slam hasn't gotten much of any kind of tuning at all. It's still an amazing move where you just launch guys up into the air. It's pretty badass. I'm still a huge fan of it. So if you do that after you hurl your rocks, you're gaining 20% damage on this. Operation Slam is still a great attack and movement speed reducer and a just a big AoE damage cone. So that is rounding out the kit. I got 20 points into Operation Crush, 1 point in Dash. Obviously you get that for free. You get your flight for free. 20 points into Melee Strike, 20 points Operation Slam, 20 points into Operation Smash with the augment on Crush. Just because of being able to hurl stuff. Just does tons of damage, and then you gain 20% damage to all the rest of your kit. I think that's super helpful and allows you for a more fluid gameplay style, because if you're in a situation where you can't really move in on guys too much because there's tons of AoE on the ground or something like that, specializing in mostly ranged moves and just one melee, you can stay out of the heat and let your drones soak up a lot of the damage there. So again, guys, just to go over what I have going on here, I don't know if it'll let me switch. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, with this, you still have 10 bandwidth, right? So this is how they're redoing the bandwidth mechanic. You have 10 bandwidth per of these 3 sets of augments, one's in each tree. So you got bandwidth of 2, 4, or 6, 2, 4, or 6, 2, 4, and 6. So you get to pick and choose how you want to, roll these augments to gain, additional perks and use up your 10 bandwidth. But every summon now costs bandwidth. Just like, I did before, but there's no specialization that removes it, so it's a lot more balanced. So the reason why I'm only using Augment Crush is because if I choose any other augment, even Augment Sacrifice, which I was going to use in the build, because these guys are pretty badass. It turns into 3 little drones that explode, but it's got a really long cooldown, and they don't tank for you, and they don't really do a ton of damage. So maybe I'll look into that again one more time. But even then, I still couldn't use up all of my bandwidth without going into the Scourging Wrath tree, which I didn't want to do at all. So I ended up electing to go just 1 4-pointer, and then I'm using the rest of my 6 bandwidth to summon out my 6 copies of drones. So this reserves 20 bandwidth per pair of drones, and right now the max summons, they moved it from 8 down to 6. So I'm still benefiting from max summons even though I have no summoning gear on at all. The reason I put points into this move is because their health now scales a percentage of your health per point added in. So this health, maybe it's tuned, maybe it's not. I would think that the guys that do no damage, like these ones, I think maybe they balanced it out based on how much bandwidth they take and things like that. But these are permanent summons now. They have 70% damage reduction. They have 96 of my health. So I basically summon out 6 taunting little beefcake guys that do physical damage as well. So I'm hoping when I do Augment Crush, maybe it applies over to my drones. I don't know. But all I know is that they just peck away at guys. They mostly taunt and take a lot of heat off of you. And that allows you to stay in some pretty hot areas while you're doing your melee and some of your ranged physical moves. And when you buff them up with the Ultron Prime, their damage output goes quite high. So I did 20 points into close combat drones just so I could use up all my bandwidth and get the maximum amount of survivability, since everything in my gear kit is focused on DPS. I'm doing 20 points into Weir Ultron. This is summoning 2 waves or 2 swarms of drones now that actually move to the guys. At least that's the last I heard, is summoning 2. It looks like it summons 2. Let's see if I can do it. Yeah, okay, yeah, so it still summons 2 of these little heads of drones or whatever. This is fucking awesome for this physical build because that damage counts as physical right now. Hopefully it stays that way. I'm sure a lot of people are pissed that it's not energy, unless those are technically bullets they're shooting. I don't know how it could be physical damage. So 20 points in Weir Ultron. Cast this after you've Ultron primed and crushed. So you're getting your 20% physical damage buff, and you're getting Ultron Prime critical and brutal hit damage increase, and then just, you know, stand back and watch these things rip everything to shreds. This is a 25-second cooldown move with 2 mobile drone swarms that just rip people apart, and they last for 15 fucking seconds. It's insane. It's just tons of dot damage, and 20% more on top of that is even more insane. And if you actually leveled up your ultimate to, you know, rank 20, you'd get 20 more % damage. I mean, it would compound crazy. So anyways, guys, that's the build. Again, I'm not using any augment on Ultron Prime, because if I were to use any, I'd only be able to summon 4 of the drones, and I wanted to get the maximum of 6, so that I have 6 meat shields, if you will. Just kind of feels like a melee dude with a ton of extra little helpers that just soak up DPS for you. So they're taunting those guys. They're doing what they're supposed to. Let me body slide. Let's try it out in Cosmic Midtown real quick. I'm going to wrap this video up after I kill a couple bosses in here. Yeah. Well, yeah, we're going to do Cosmic Midtown, sure. I think, like I said, that dynamic combat level thing, that's been turned off right now because everyone thought Ultron sucked because of how difficult some of the game modes were becoming. So I like to open up with the crush, and then just apply your dots as needed. This thing just rips through people. Oh, that's pretty sweet looking. He's got missile shield on, so they're moving real slow. And as you can see right here, I gained 1 bandwidth back. I'm not sure how that's possible unless I have half of a set of drones. But, oh my god, it just does so much fucking damage, man. You do Ultron Prime and then throw your crush buff out. I mean, it's like a permanent 20% more damage to every move you're doing, and your signature counts as physical. It's like, holy shit. I don't know. So you saw how it just turned white right there, and that just means that I can summon another set of guys. And as I said in my last video, I don't have any problem with resummoning these dudes right now. You can see I have 20, so that means I can summon one. This grays out once they're gone again. And I'm using, I think I'm using Coulson as a team up. That's where those shield agents just came from. But I mean, I'm not taking too much heat. I don't know how much more, like I said, how much more tuning's gonna go into this shit. But of course, if you stand in his wave like that, you'll probably get your ass beat. But just crush alone is unbelievable. Gotta use a little buff there. Get my guys back out. Apparently Mole Man's cane is the shit. It's OP. Let's get some drones on him with all the buffs going. Oh god, he's trying to run away from it. Ain't gonna happen, bitch. So I just walk up here and I'm punching. It's doing decent damage, even with the basic, so I'm very happy. I think I just died, but I didn't think Mole Man had this much health and damage, but he must be casting the hell out of that thing. Ran into my bots, that's why I'm hurting so much. So you can see how much he's really focusing on just these stupid guys. Considering I'm not gearing for summoning at all, I'd say they're doing some decent damage too. That might be like Ultron's niche, you know? He might be able to still focus on whatever your primary energy source is and still maintain some decent summons that have some functionality. But man, Operation Crush is fucking beast. Anyways, guys, that's the build. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm liking where Ultron's going. They're probably going to continue to do tuning passes on everything, so things are likely to change maybe a couple more times, but by next week he'll be hammered out and he'll be a fucking beast. So I'm happy where he's heading, guys. If you like this video, leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys.